Hey guys, it's Timmy, and this is Pro Wrestling Unlimited, as we are here on the 10th of September, 2019, to talk about everything that went down on tonight's Smackdown Live. Now, as far as Smackdown goes tonight, I thought Raw was a better show. I'll just say that. I thought last night's Raw was better. Things flowed a lot better on last night's Raw. Tonight it was just, there's a bunch of segments. And some weren't really that great. But overall, I'm going to say that if you're trying to compare Raw and SmackDown this week, Raw got to win it. Nelson says Charlotte wins next month. We'll see. Looking at the chat before we do get going, Jack Dawson says, any calls tonight, Tim? No, not going to be taking calls tonight, unfortunately. So just reading the chat, letting a couple more people jump in before we do get going. Nelson says Miz because WWE being petty because the Jericho AEW thing. I hope Miz doesn't win. I can honestly see it happening because of the Jericho deal. You know, Jericho's a 9-time Intercontinental Champion. If Miz wins on Sunday, he'll be a 9-time Intercontinental Champion. So, I don't know. Joe Decker, I don't think it's KO getting a break. We'll talk about that. You got to remember, he had a long break from last October to February this year. So, as we talk about tonight's SmackDown did kick off with The Undertaker. Undertaker made his way down to the ring, got a huge reaction from the live crowd in Madison Square Garden. Fans broke out in a loud Undertaker chant. He says that he considers Madison Square Garden his home, but he doesn't know how many more times he'll be able to return home. Taker talked about the Titans, legends and heroes that were born in Madison Square Garden. He talked a bit of their souls with him. Or he took a bit of their souls with him, but their memories echo in the hallways for all eternity. He said now they usher in a new era of new superstars. Sami Zayn would then interrupt, make his way down to the ring. Fans booed. Sami was being a perfect heel here tonight. Sami Zayn sang along with his music a little bit, just hamming it up. He called The Undertaker a legend and said that Taker sold out Mania for 30 years now? He said 30 years is how long MSG has been Taker's yard. Zayn pushed the idea that he has a lot of respect for The Undertaker. Zayn believes that The Undertaker shouldn't be the man to open up SmackDown. He thinks it should have been himself. Fans start chanting, "You suck." Zayn asked Taker to turn around and leave the ring. Leave it to him. He told Taker to pass his torch. Zayn promised that the future of the WWE and Madison Square Garden is in good hands with him. He said, "Taker, I give you my word." Taker handed over his microphone to Sami Zayn and it looked like he was about to get out of the ring. Zayn started doing a little celebratory dance. Taker noticed and said, this ain't happening. He would then eventually give Sami Zayn a chokeslam, and Sami sold that chokeslam like it was the most devastating chokeslam anybody has ever taken in the history of anything. So a little backstory from before SmackDown, we did learn that Elias is actually injured. Elias has supposedly suffered some sort of an ankle injury from what we have heard, and he has been pulled from the King of the Ring. So after the Undertaker segment, we go to the back, and Chad Gable enters into Shane McMahon's office. McMahon called him Shorty and complimented Gable on his recent performances, though. McMahon revealed that Elias broke his ankle, and Gable assumed, am I just going to get a bye to the finals? McMahon said he's looking for a replacement, and it could be anybody from Raw or even from SmackDown or even Raw. He told him that he would have a replacement and a name shortly. We then got The Miz versus Andrade. Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura was on commentary, and I loved heel Nakamura on commentary talking Japanese. But somehow Corey Graves understood him. Andrade had the early advantage, but Miz did end up taking over. He sent Andrade to the floor and then went for a dive. Vega jumped on the apron and stopped him. She interfered again, and Andrade regained control. He followed up with double knees in the corner. After a break, Miz was firmly in control and hit a neck breaker for a near fall. He followed up with some it kicks, fired back with chops, knees in the corner. Andrade missed a charge into the corner and fell to the floor. Miz hit a sliding dropkick and slammed Andrade on the announce table. Nakamura and Miz had a brief stare down. Miz tossed Andrade into Nakamura. Miz then mocked Nakamura with his "come on" little pose. Zelina Vega, as the Miz got back into the ring, grabbed the Miz's leg, and this allowed Andrade time to try to take advantage with an elbow. Andrade went for a moonsault, but Miz rolled out of the way. Andrade landed on his feet and attempted a standing moonsault. Miz rolled to his feet. So after the match, Nakamura attacked the Miz and hit him with a Kinshasa. In the back, Shane McMahon approached Matt Hardy and Apollo Crews. It looked like, I don't know what he was actually asking them, but they were like saying no. You couldn't hear what he was saying. They were like, no, no. I was like, are they saying they didn't want to be in the finals or something? And so, sorry about that. We went offline for a second. Everything should be fixed now. Chad Gable enters. He gets a lot of short jokes. And McMahon reveals that he's got a replacement. And that replacement is somebody that Elias approves of. Gable will be taking on the best in the world tonight, Shane McMahon. So then we get Nikki Cross versus Mandy Rose. And oh boy, did they get ripped to shreds on Twitter about this promo that Mandy Rose cut before the match. So before the match, Mandy and Sonya come down and they cut a promo. Mandy talks about how she's beautiful, but Nikki Cross is ugly. She then says, look at these two photos right here. One is of Mandy Rose looking attractive. I wouldn't say she was like the hottest thing ever, as she would put it, as Corey Graves would put it. And then you've got Nikki Cross, who is not an unattractive person, but they used a photo where she's making a weird face. And people on Twitter ripped this to shreds. Ripped this a new one. Like, there were just people on Twitter like, how are you doing this in 2019? This is uncalled for. You don't need to be making fun of people's looks. Nikki Cross is not even bad looking. She's not unattractive. She's not ugly, as they stated. Mandy went as far as to say Nikki Cross is ugly, which is not the case at all. So they've cut this promo. First, Alexa Bliss's music hits. Alexa walks out on the stage and she's yelling down to Mandy and Sonya. Nikki Cross's music hits and she's pissed. She is pissed. And so, excuse me, she runs down to the ring, throws down her belt, jumps in the ring, and just attacks Mandy Rose. Referee pulls her off, spreads them, breaks them apart, and bada boom. She attacks her again. Mandy just getting wrecked. So Cross had the early advantage, but Rose gained control. Rose slowed things down and applied a chin lock. Cross made a comeback and climbed to the top turnbuckle. DeVille jumped off the apron, but Bliss jumped onto the apron and Bliss pulled her off. Cross missed a crossbody, and Rose went for a knee. Cross moved and rolled her up for the victory. So Nikki Cross does get the victory. It's their way of saying, hey, we may have called her ugly, but she still won her match. No. This was just dumb, idiotic, stupid, uncalled for. Whoever wrote this segment, whoever thought this was a good idea, dumb. So in the locker room, Ember Moon approaches Bayley. She's not happy that Bayley attacked Becky Lynch with a chair. Moon assumes it's all Sasha's influence. Bayley says that she's just trying to elevate the SmackDown Live Women's division. Moon pointed out that Charlotte Flair pinned her last night. Moon told Bayley to save that aggression. They're going to face off later on tonight. So then we got Heavy Machinery against two jobbers. I think their names were Johnny Silver and Alex Keaton, something like that. Otis and Tucker completely dominated the match. Otis hit a caterpillar. They followed up with the compactor. Heavy Machinery with the victory. So in the back, Kevin Owens approaches Shane McMahon in his office. McMahon is considering dropping the fine against Owens. He wants Owens to do something for him, though, and that is be a referee in the King of the Ring semifinal match later on tonight. He implied that if Owens cheats in his favor, he'll drop the fine. He basically told Kevin, do what you know is right, and I'll drop it. They recap the Eric Rowan attacking Roman Reigns angle from last week. Well, from all together, also with last week's stuff. And apparently Daniel Bryan was there tonight, but he left before the show started, and I don't know why. So Rowan comes down to the ring, and he talked about how nobody's in control of him anymore, and that people need to look right into his eyes and know that he's a mastermind and a manipulator. Fans chanted what? Roman Reigns would then interrupt and come down. He rocked Rowan with a Superman punch quickly, and the two brawled at ringside. The brawl went into the crowd, and Rowan hit another Superman punch. Security ran out to stop them. Rowan grabbed a fan, so Roman gets thrown over the barricade back at ringside. Rowan then grabs a quote-unquote fan from the front row and power bombs him onto Roman Reigns and all the security over the barricade. Rowan then ran around ringside and knocked down Reigns and the security again. They fought all the way up the ramp, and there was a brief Roman chant. They continued to fight on the top of the stage near the King of the Ring throne. Then, in a crazy spot, Rowan grabbed the jib camera, the big crane camera that was just hanging out there at the top of the stage. And he literally grabbed it. It's on a swivel, so he grabs it and he pushes it right into the face of Roman. Roman goes down, knocks down some security guys, and Rowan walks off. Roman gets to his feet. A Roman Reigns chant breaks up from the crowd, and we go to commercial. So we come back from commercial, and it's weird. You see Rowan in the back, and he's just pacing, going, Roman Reigns, 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 and then it just cuts back to the ring. What the fuck? So Charlotte Flair joined commentary for this next match. It was SmackDown Live Women's Champion Bayley against Ember Moon. And Moon caught Bayley early with a drop kick to start off the match. They had a quick exchange, and Bayley rolled to the floor. Moon climbed on the barricade, but Bayley pushed her off and rocked her with a knee. Back from the break, Moon was firmly in control. Moon went for the total eclipse, but Bayley moved and hit her with a Bayley to belly for the victory. After the match, Charlotte Flair entered the ring and had a brief stare down with Bayley. Bayley backed off and left the ring. Chris McNutt with the super chat donation, saying one of the producers that came down was Sanjay Dutt. It was Sanjay making himself an appearance on SmackDown. So WWE Champion Kofi Kingston makes his way down to the ring. Fans broke out in a loud Kofi chant. He said that it's nice being back in MSG. He talked about beating Randy Orton in 2009 in this very arena. Best part was putting Orton through a table. Fans broke out in another Kofi chant. He said he knew that one day he'd return here, and as a champion. Kingston showed the footage from 2009. Orton would then interrupt and walked out through the crowd. He called Kingston stupid, said he's tired of hearing about Kingston's 2 accomplishments. He mocked Kingston for his fake Jamaican accent and the power of positivity. Kingston went after Orton in the crowd, and the two brawled. He attacked Orton, got attacked with a chair. Kingston fought back, and Orton attacked Kingston with the chair. Kingston fought back, grabbed the chair, and attacked Orton with it. He then set up a table, but Orton fought back. The table then broke prematurely, unfortunately. but Kingston set up a second table. Kingston then hit the boom drop off the railing onto a Randy Orton through the table, and unfortunately, this was a good segment that was killed by bad camera shots. Too much movement, too much cutting, too much Kevin Dunn. Too much. So then, we move on to the main event. It was the semifinals, the King of the Ring tournament. So Chad Gable comes down. Kevin Owens is ready in the ring as the referee. Chad Gable comes down, and before he can even get to the ring, Shane's music hits. Shane takes the Best in the World trophy and puts the King of the Ring crown on top of it. They get in the ring. Gable immediately hits Shane with a bridging German suplex. Owens fast counts 1, 2, 3. We think the match is over. We think Gable's made it to the finals. McMahon, completely blown up, completely gassed after 30 seconds, grabs a microphone. This match isn't over. This match is now 2 out of 3 falls. And we go to commercial break. So they come back, and McMahon was firmly in control. Gable fought back and rolled up McMahon. Owens made a slow and tedious count. Shane kicked out. Owens then made a really fast count when McMahon went for a pin, but Gable kicked out. Gable fought back and hit a moonsault. A perfect moonsault. Like, I don't remember the last time I've seen a moonsault that he was fully extended this well and landed completely perfectly. His gut, right on Shane's gut. His midsection, right on Shane's midsection. Like, wow. Gable hit the most perfect moonsault here on Shane. But Owens wouldn't count it again. So they keep going. Shane McMahon then went and grabbed a steel chair. He brought it into the ring, and Owens was like, don't do that, please. Don't do it. You know what's going to happen. So he said, fine. And he hands the chair over Kevin Owens. With Owens' back turned, he tried to run and kick Chad Gable in the groin. But Gable caught him. Caught the leg and turned it into an ankle lock. Gable has the ankle lock on. Shane looked like he was about to tap, and Gable grapevines the leg. Shane McMahon has no choice but to tap out here. Now it was weird. The bell rings. Gable gets announced the winner. But referee Kevin Owens never called for the bell. Never called for the, okay, he's tapping, that's it, ring the bell. So they say Chad Gable wins. They show the graphic. Chad Gable's moving on to the King of the Ring. We'll talk about the finals here in a second. And Shane flips out and says, Kevin Owens, you're fired. He says this after attacking Kevin Owens. He just keeps yelling, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, beating up on Shane McMahon, or on Kevin Owens. You hear a slight AEW chant from the crowd here as the show goes off the air. I don't know where this is leading to. Like, really? He was fired? He did nothing wrong. You tapped out, buddy boy. So, now I see people in the chat asking about the King of the Ring finals, asking why are they on Raw? I thought they were going to be a Clash of Champions. Now, here's the thing. We all assumed they were going to be at Clash of Champions. WWE never once actually stated when the finals were going to be. They never said Clash of Champions. We just all assumed and reported it as assumptions. Myself, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, John Pollock of Post Wrestling, Mike Johnson, PW Insider. We all reported the finals of the pay-per-view because that's what you would just expect, especially if they're not saying anything. But tonight, they did state that the finals will be taking place next week on Monday Night Raw. It'll be Chad Gable against Baron Corbin. So, everybody that's mad that it's not at the pay-per-view, why did they change it? They didn't change it. They just never announced it and we all assumed. And you know what happens when you assume? The old saying, you make an ass out of you and me. But I digress. I don't know. I assume. Now, here's the thing. I can see Chad Gable winning. It would be cool. But I can actually see Corbin winning and being King Corbin. And actually probably doing a hell of a job at it as well. Being that heel that just thinks he's better than everybody because he won King of the Ring. And probably do it better than anybody has done in recent memory. So, either way, like, to be honest, I know this is not going to be a very popular opinion. But Corbin winning King of the Ring may be the more entertaining of the two. Yeah. Gable winning would be cool to see, but then where do you go from there? At least with Corbin winning, it can be pretty gosh darn entertaining. Joe Decker in the chat before we wrap things up. They say, can you see KO versus Shane at Hell in a Cell? I mean, it's possible. I don't know where this whole you're fired angle is going to lead to, whether Shane or Owens gets moved to Raw or doubt it, but NXT. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. That was SmackDown. Again, I thought SmackDown was a good show, but not as good as this week's Raw. I think Raw was the better, more superior show this week. And we'll have to see what happens going into the pay-per-view. Nick and I will be here tomorrow night with PWUnlimited Wednesday show to recap everything that's gone on throughout this week. In professional wrestling, we'll be talking about the Anthem acquisition of Access TV. We'll be talking about Clash of Champions and our predictions and so much more. Also, tomorrow, I don't know if you guys saw on our social media or here on YouTube on our community tab, we've got a special unboxing coming that you guys are going to want to see. Because with this unboxing, there may be an opportunity for somebody to win something very, very cool. So keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye on our Instagram. Keep an eye out here right here on YouTube. Keep an eye out on our Twitter. Because there's some opportunities coming for you guys where somebody's going to win a very, very cool prize. Not going to say anything just yet. But you guys will all know tomorrow what's going on. But with that, I want to say thank you to everybody who did join us here tonight live, or who watched later right here on YouTube, or who listened on podcast services all around the world, like iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and so much more. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Pro Wrestling UOTD. Follow us on Twitter at PWUnlimited. Follow us on Instagram, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And of course, follow me at Timmy Buddy. Have a good night, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.